19th century, the Southwest African territory was occupied by Germany and claimed by the Germans as a colony between 1884 and 1950 as German Southwest Africa, under the direction of Otto von Bismarck. The Herero people were a group of cattle herders living in the central eastern region of German Southwest Africa, along with the Namas, who were another group of herders. They resided in the land known as Damara land, but the land was stocked with cattle stolen from the Hereros and the Namas, causing a great deal of resentment. Samuel Herero led a Herero revolt in which he wanted to gain back land and drive the Germans out. Taxed by the cousin of sub-tribe of Hendrix Witboot, the Herero people decided to sign a protection treaty of 1855 with Germany's colonial governor Hermann Göring. After a couple of years, the Herero leaders began to complain about the violations of the treaty. They signed a great deal of land over to the Germans in return for helping him ascend the Herero throne. Theodor Lutwin became governor of the territory and was often criticized by the German colonists as being too nice to the Africans. Soon after, William II replaced Lutwin with the notorious General von Trotha. General von Trotha devised a new plan to end the revolts of the indigenous people and told them that if they did not leave the country, they would be killed. In 1903, some of the Nama tribes rose in revolt under the leadership of Hendrik Witboot. One of the major issues was land rights. At first, Germany gained a bulk of land from the Hereros by purchasing them through friendly treaties. When Germany found out about the blacks being favored over whites and that interracial marriages were creating a mixed race group that would be granted German citizenship, they decided that instead of purchasing the land through friendly treaties, land acquisition was impeded without consent of existing settlers, would sabotage Germany's plan for providing German settlers with land. Debt collection was enforced, which was another factor contributing to the revolt. On January 12th, it culminated to several hundred mounted Hereros invading Okahonda. They killed 123 people, most of them German, and set buildings on fire. The conflict rapidly escalated, and Germans who escaped went to urban areas for protection. The conflict continued, but the Hereros were eventually overwhelmed. Governor Lutwin was prepared to negotiate a settlement, but his government was determined to suppress the revolt with arms. Lutwin was forced to request reinforcement, and an experienced officer, General Trotha, from the government in Berlin, was appointed Supreme Commander in Southwest Africa. He planned to crush the natives' resistance through military force. Later, von Trotha led a forgotten genocide in Southwest Africa. The cattle-herding Hereros were the first ethnic groups to be subjected to the genocide in the 20th century. The genocide was an explicit action ordered by the Kaiser. Trotha drove the Hereros into the desert, issuing a formal extermination order authorizing the slaughter of all those who refused to surrender. Trotha's troops defeated 3,000 to 5,000 Herero soldiers at the Battle of Waterberg on August 11, 1904. The German forces prevented groups of Herero from breaking away from the main body of fleeing force and pushed them further into the desert. Many were unable to go on and were trapped, which enabled the German soldiers to kill many women and children. This resulted in the deaths of 45,000 to 65,000 Herero people. German patrols later found skeletons around holes 13 meters deep that had been dug in a vain attempt to find water. While the revolts were occurring between the Germans and Hereros, unlike the Germans, the Hereros avoided killing women and children. Trotha gave orders that captured men were to be executed while women and children were brought into the desert where their deaths from starvation would occur. The German soldiers would rape young Herero women before killing them or letting them die in the desert. In order for German soldiers to prove to their commanders that they had killed, they would bring back severed hands and other body parts. Upon an arrival, prisoners were taken into concentration camps where they were given to private companies as laborers or exploited as human guinea pigs in medical experiments. Categorized into groups, fit and unfit for work. Thousands died due to ill treatment, disease, and starvation. The food in the camps was extremely scarce, consisting of rice with no dishes. The prisoners lacked souls, and the rice that they were given was uncooked, which was indigestible. Horses and oxen that died in the camp were given as food to the prisoners. Diseases were common. Shootings, hangings, beatings, and other ill treatments were common. Eugene Fischer, a German anthropologist, came into the concentration camps to conduct medical experiments on race, using children of Herero people and children of Herero women and German men as test subjects. The two reasons for the genocide were to punish the Hereros for their uprising and to gain Herero land and their livestock. They also wanted to expand their territory. The Germans didn't want to lose their colonies to someone inferior to them. They wanted to retain their power. The Herero rebelled, which also exacerbated the situation and pushed the Germans to settle the conflict violently. The obvious and immediate impact of the genocide was the approximate 65,000 Hereros and 10,000 Namibia deaths. After the closure of the concentration camps, all of the surviving Hereros were distributed as laborers in German colonies. They were banned from owning land and cattle. The survivors were also impacted psychologically by the murders of innocent people, which included their family members. Some saw their own family members struggle in the desert and in the concentration camps, their own family members dying as days passed right there in front of their eyes. These terrible events led to the emotional scars carried by many of the Herero and Nama people. Many lost family members during the genocide, resulting in a lack of parental figures or role models for the younger citizens. German President Roman Herzog visited Namibia in 1998 and met Herero leader Chief Namibia, who demanded a public apology and compensation. Herzog apologized, but the compensation was out of the question. On August 16, 2004, Germany's Minister for Economic Development and Cooperation officially apologized and expressed grief about the genocide. She ruled out paying special compensations, but promised economic aid for Namibia.